When you had that third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up.
The biggest difference between successful people and everyone else, it's not talent, it's not strategy, it's this. They keep going when it stops being exciting. Anyone can start when they feel motivated, but motivation fades. Things get repetitive, progress slows down, and most people start tying their effort to how they feel. That is the mistake. Welcome back to the Lifestyle Practice Podcast. I'm your host for the day, Dr. Derek Williams. I'm excited to be with you and appreciate you being here. What really separates the most successful from the average performers? It's not intelligence, it's not strategy, it's not even necessarily opportunity. It's that the most successful keep going when it is no longer exciting to keep going. Every new goal feels amazing at the beginning. When you start a new business, when you commit to getting in shape and you have a plan, you buy your gym pass, when you first get into dental school, when you first graduate or first buy your practice, usually is some decision where you decide you're going to level up in some way. And for a while, it's fun, it's energizing, and you just feel like, man, I am all in. And then over time, things happen. It gets repetitive, the progress slows down, and it starts to feel harder to grow. And this is where most people kind of quietly fall off. And it's not because they don't care, and a lot of times it's not because they don't know what to do, but it's because they are tying their effort to how they feel. The people that win long-term, they do not do that. They don't renegotiate their commitment when their feeling changes. Their effort is not dependent on motivation. It's not dependent on excitement. It's not dependent on whether or not it's fun anymore. They just keep executing. Here's why most people fall off. They tie their results to their identity. So when results drop, confidence drops, belief drops, effort drops. Now they're stuck in a cycle. Bad results leads to negative emotion, leads to less effort, leads to worse results, negative feedback loop. But high performers don't do that. They don't overreact to outcomes. They stay neutral and keep executing. Because a bad result doesn't require an emotional reaction. Your feelings are not a reliable input for performance. If you are constantly measuring yourself against where you wish you were, you're always feeling behind. And that's the gap. But if you measure yourself against where you started, you see progress. That's the gain. Here's why this matters. If you live in the gap, consistency feels pointless. If you live in the gain, consistency feels like progress. It reminded me of, I believe it was last year at the Masters, that Rory on the Masters Sunday, the last day, he had lost part of the lead and he was going into or finishing the final round and ended up having to play off hole or a series of them to be able to determine the winner. And he was kind of discouraged, thinking, man, this was mine for the taking and I screwed it up. And his caddy said, hey, what would you have given at the beginning of this week, at the beginning of this tournament, to know that you were going to be playing in a playoff for the tournament victory? And at that point, it totally changed his perspective. He's like, oh man, yeah, if I could have known that at the beginning, I would be thrilled. So that's the point sometimes, is to recognize the growth, where we've come from, and to recognize that, man, what would we have given to be in this situation that we're in? We're in the top 1% or even 10th of a percentile in the world as far as opportunities that we have, the profession that we have. We have so many opportunities and we should be so grateful. It's very easy to forget that though. Here's another situation that this has played out in my own life recently with pushing through when it gets boring or monotonous. I had ACL surgery on April 1st. But the first couple of weeks that I had after I had ACL surgery, super motivated. I was just like locked in, pushing through the pain. I was working, every day on my extension, flexion, exercises, kind of doing everything that I could. After about that 2-week mark, something shifted and it started to get boring, repetitive, and monotonous. And thankfully, because I've been through this process and I've been thinking about that, I realized and kind of made the observation that the first phase required motivation, but it came a lot more easily. The hard decision to stay consistent is when it stopped being interesting and exciting. And that is where real progress actually happens. I had a dentist reach out to me recently. He's a couple years into ownership. He started his own practice, had big goals and a big vision. But when things got hard, he kind of pulled back. He lost some momentum and started questioning everything. He reached out to me and he was kind of asking me like, what should I do? Is there a program that I should join? What should I be learning? And so I asked him, I just said, well, what have you been doing so far? And he said, I've been listening to your podcast. And he listed off a few other podcasts. He said, other books. And he said, I struggle to implement. He said, I think it's my team sometimes, but honestly, it's a lack of consistency in myself. Fear and consistency have always been a struggle. Like I enjoy learning about these things and I try and put it in place, but then I really kind of struggle with pushing my team and I kind of end up being a little bit too passive. So I told him, I said, honestly, it sounds like you don't want it badly enough. Right now, your fear is more consistent than your effort. And that's the issue. It's not the knowledge, it's not the access or the opportunity, it's consistency. He messaged me the next day and I wrote this down that he told me. He said, our conversation kept me up all night. I can't get the words out of my head. I've sacrificed so much time, money, and I'm sitting here asking, what was it all for? I think I expected this to be easier. And when it got hard, I developed this scarcity mindset that's affected everything. The plateau is not where progress stops. It's where most people stop. That's the filter. That's where that separation happens. So if you are feeling like things have slowed down, it's not as exciting as it used to be, if it feels repetitive, good. That's the moment that really actually matters. That's where you decide, am I someone who acts based on how I feel, or am I someone who acts based on what I said I was going to do and what I've committed to do? Because in the long run, you don't rise to your goals, but you fall to your standards. The exciting and fun part about this is that when we fall short, like I said earlier, that does not equate our self-worth. It does not equate to our integrity as people. We can find a way to dissociate ourselves from some of those results that we see at times and learn how to equate our worth and our value based more on our consistency. Because that's what is in our control, how we continue to show up day after day. So there's a lot of different options and different things that you can do. Sometimes it may mean getting the right program and the right material. A lot of times it means you committing to yourself or to others. A lot of times getting a coach or someone that can really provide accountability. Honestly, that's a big part of what pays for itself in coaching, when you can have someone that can provide multiple things. The strategic portion, the material and the content, what to follow, the troubleshooting process when things start to really get hard, and then the accountability to stick with it month after month. There's not a back door. There's not a way to kind of easily just exit out. I mean, I suppose that you can, but if you've committed to this process of coaching and developing yourself, there's accountability along the way. And that's why we see so much progress in our clients and people that we work with. So if you can stay consistent there when it's no longer exciting, you win.